Okay, guys. Romeo and Juliet. Couple of things before we kind of get started on this for today. Um, One of the things to tell you about, and I put this on the blog already. It's there already. Um, because of one of the groups of people, obviously everybody's losing terrible amounts of money because of COVID, because people can't be outside and can't go to work and can't do their jobs. One of the places that's getting hit really hard by COVID is the theater, live theater. Um, because the thing about live theater is it's not that many people go. So people go to the movies, but they don't really see that much live theater, and so live theater doesn't have a lot of money to start with. They're not funded like movies are. I mean, unless you're like, like the Harry Potter show or whatever on Broadway. But most live theater is not really funded very well. Shakespeare, for example, is, I mean, like I like Shakespeare, okay, but like most people don't want to sit through a 4-hour Shakespeare play. So it's not funded great. And so one of the things that's happened as a result of this COVID thing is theaters are in dreadful trouble, losing a lot of money. So one thing they've been doing is they've been putting their stuff online. Um, Now, it doesn't look as nice as a movie, obviously, because what you're seeing when you see a theater show online is you're watching, like, somebody's got a nice video camera, and it's positioned well, and they got close-ups of the actors' faces, but basically you're watching people walk around an empty stage and say things to each other. Um, so it's, not the very best. It's not a movie, but they are filming stage plays, and so a lot of theater groups have been putting their stuff online on YouTube, and they're giving them away for free sometimes just to keep people interested, and they're asking for donations. One of the groups that's doing that right now is Shakespeare's Globe Theater. The Globe Theater is, I mean, it's a sort of recreation, but it's a recreation in the same place. It's a recreation of Shakespeare's theater in the same place Shakespeare's theater was 400 years ago. And the Globe Theater, it's got a funny shape to it too. It's called the Globe because it's like a round theater, and essentially it's not totally all the way around, but like instead of the audience being here and the stage here, the audience like wraps around the stages. The stage is kind of in the center and to the back, and everybody's sort of wrapped around. Um, and they've been releasing some productions of their plays online, which is cool. One of the things though that they released just like today or yesterday is Romeo and Juliet. You can watch Romeo and Juliet on YouTube for free. The entire play. You can watch the entire play of Romeo and Juliet performed for free. I haven't actually seen it yet, but I watched some clips and it looks fucking good. It's from 2009. It's got an interracial cast, which is very fun. It looks like a great production. It's for free on YouTube. And you get to see Romeo and Juliet performed on the same, basically, reproduction of the same stage that Shakespeare himself would have worked on, in the same place. So, it's kind of a cool thing. It's totally free, and you can watch it on YouTube. And I actually included the link on the blog, so you can just camp out and watch all of Romeo and Juliet for absolutely nothing. That's kind of a cool thing to do. And there's a whole bunch of other Shakespeare experiences online right now. And I'll tell you the truth, I'm busy, and I haven't had a chance to find out about them all. There's a lot of different, because of course, I'm sure it doesn't surprise you, but I follow a lot of Shakespeare shit on Facebook, on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Instagram, and they're all like, "We got free shows, and you can click this link and watch this thing, and we're live streaming a performance of this, and we're zooming Much Ado About Nothing, and I haven't had a chance to do it yet, so I don't really know." But it's there if you go looking, and I think the place to start is going to be the Globe Theater's production of Romeo and Juliet. It would be really cool to watch that. You guys are in a special position to appreciate it more than other people because you've got me. So feel free to check it out and ask questions and point people to interesting parts and notice things in there. But that's something you could do. So that's kind of fun. Okay, other things. What else was I going to say? I had another introductory thing. Your papers, try to get them to me. Remember that I recommend you make your classes pass-fail. But if you're happy with your grades and you think you're doing good work, keep it up. But if you're gunning for an A, don't forget that the highest grade I can give you on a first draft is a B, which means you can turn it into me on May 14th and I'll grade it, but there's like a limit to how high a grade I can give you. So if you want to really get the higher grade, you're going to want to turn it in before May 14th. Let me look at it, give you some suggestions, send it back to you, so you can do a second draft of it. But again, if you're doing class pass-fail, aka credit, no credit, it's not going to matter because you just need to turn in something that passes, and then I'll write pass, and we're done. So that's something else to keep in mind. Boy, I feel like I had something else I wanted to tell you guys about, and now I can't remember what it was. Theater on YouTube. I told you about Romeo and Juliet on YouTube. The fuck was it? Maybe it'll come back to. Oh, I remember what it was. Every year, one of the theater things that got canceled was Shakespeare in the Park, which is real sad. And they do free Shakespeare in the park every year in Central Park in New York City. But they had to cancel it because they need to be rehearsing right now, and they can't do rehearsals right now because of COVID, which is unfortunate. So that's a kind of a sad thing for local New York Shakespeare things. One of the fun parts about this class is telling students they can go see Shakespeare in the Park and go check out some of the plays. But again, Shakespeare in the Park, like a lot of things, is online. They have this a great performance, by the way. I would recommend of Much Ado About Nothing. And the lead actress is a woman from Orange is the New Black, and she's fucking fantastic. So I highly recommend that you check that out if you can find that online. I think PBS might be airing it, like on pbs.org or something. Anyway, okay, I think I'm done with that sort of introduction. So let's get back. Oh, I remember the other thing I wanted to tell you. I don't think we're going to have time to get to Midsummer Night's Dream. Now, that's actually not because of COVID. I'm thinking back, we probably never would have gotten to it or wouldn't have had much time with it. I'm remembering now, the last time I've only taught this class twice, although I've taught these plays in 201 and in 250 and in British literature, but I've never taught the Shakespeare class. Well, I've only taught Shakespeare class once before. And I plan to do 4 plays, but I'm remembering now, last year when I taught this class, what happened was we spent a lot of time on Macbeth, and we spent a lot of time on Coriolanus, and a lot of time on Romeo and Juliet, and then basically I was able to play like one more Shakespeare movie, just kind of a happy one, at the end of the semester, and we had like one class to talk about how much fun it was, and then the semester was over. So I think, and the idea was, let's watch a fun, happy movie at the end of the semester. It'll be a nice way to end the semester, but it's not like a detailed analysis like I've been doing. But obviously that it doesn't make any sense for an online class to, the whole point was to watch a movie together. Obviously we can't do that. So there's a good chance we won't really be getting to Midsummer Night's Dream. We're just going to kind of do, there's some Shakespeare poems I might go over, other kinds of things. I have some thoughts on it, but I think there's a good chance we're not going to do Midsummer Night's Dream in this class, which is unfortunate because the movie is very fun. If you do watch the movie, make sure you get the one starring Maxine Peake, because it's fucking rad. There's also a good one from the 90s with Michelle Pfeiffer. Okay, so those are my announcements for the class. The other thing I'm going to say to you is Friar Lawrence. That's what I want to kind of look at a little bit next, is Friar Lawrence. Friar Lawrence is Friar is like monk. He's like a monk. And Romeo goes to Friar Lawrence for advice. And it's Friar Lawrence that comes up with this ridiculous plan to drug Juliet to fake her death. I'm not sure. Shakespeare does this thing, again, like Coriolanus. Remember we saw in Coriolanus, it's hard to know, am I supposed to like this guy or not? I have complicated feelings about Coriolanus. I kind of respect the fact that he's so true to himself no matter what. I kind of respect his strength. I respect his integrity. But then also, he's a traitor against his country. He hates all the common people and everyday people, and he's such a fucking jerk. I kind of hate him. I feel a similar feeling about Friar Lawrence. I think it's possible that we should hate Friar Lawrence for deciding to meddle in the lives of these 2 teenagers. It does feel like it might be Friar Lawrence's fault that everybody dies. On the other hand, as a person who is middle-aged now, I find Friar Lawrence to be kind of charming. He's a middle-aged teacher, a monk, but, a teacher. I see myself as being a little bit sort of like a monk sometimes. He's a middle-aged teacher, so I find myself kind of liking him. I don't know if I should like him or not. I'd be interested to hear your opinions on what you think of Friar Lawrence, because sometimes he seems like a meddling idiot that gets a bunch of people killed, and sometimes he seems like a really sweet person who is trying to do his best and came up with a plan to fix a terrible fight between 2 families, and it actually works. The families are made to feel better at the end. So on that, in that sense, good. But also, Romeo and Juliet died, so that's not as good. And anyway, I think it's something for you guys to think about, how much you like Friar Lawrence. And I'll see you guys in the next video.